It's expired. The chair recognizes Mr. LaMalfa for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief Moore, good to see you. Welcome here today. There was some talk earlier in this committee about, because not all the Republicans supported a $1.6 billion allocation for the Forest Service of a giant over $1 trillion bill, which would be, I think, 0.1%, if I'm thinking correctly, that we're somehow not in favor of your mission and firefighting and forest management, which a lot of us are not going to support trillion-dollar bills to get a little bitty goodie in there, and whether it's in the infrastructure bill or the so-called inflation reduction bill. So know that we're here to help and do it through a good appropriation process and give you the tools you need. So let me jump over to the important aspect we're facing right now is that, and I have a series of questions, so I'm going to ask you to be real concise, sir. Do you agree that fire retardant is a critical tool, especially with the aircraft and what we're using, via aircraft, what we're facing in the West with giant wildfire?
Do I?
Do you agree that it's a critical tool?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I was pretty bummed out here that recently in committee that the Forest Service testified against my bipartisan legislation to protect the continued use of fire retardant from frivolous litigation that's seeking to ban its use. And if they're successful, it'll take EPA up to 3 years to reapprove this material for fighting wildfire. And so why would the Forest Service be against legislation to keep what we have?
Well, I don't know that we're against, the use of retardant. In fact, we think it's a critical and necessary way. It's not only is a safety issue for our firefighters, but it's also an issue for protecting communities.
Well, we agree on that. So we had legislation to put a stop to a frivolous lawsuit trying to get rid of the material that will take 3 years to reapprove a permit to continue using the same stuff we've been using successfully. It has a record of only a tiny percent accidentally getting into a waterway, and it showed no ill effect. They do a great job of keeping it out of, there's a 300-foot buffer between the fire zone and the actual waterways, so 99.9% of that doesn't even get beyond the 300-foot buffer. So why would we not fight to keep this material, especially since we have wildfire every year, and have that taken away from us for 3 years?
Yeah, Congressman, you're right there. There's probably less than 1% of retardant that actually gets into streams, and we're really concerned that if that is taken away from us, then it's going to create a real big problem for us.
Well, this helps make your life easier for the men and women on the line there. So
Well,
I think we have.
I'm consistent in what I'm saying, though.
What's that?
I mean, the way I just approached that, I have said this all along, that use of retardant is critical.
Thank you. All right.
For our
Well, then,
use.
please find a way to support my bill should it come to be really needed in the interim, because I don't know what we'll do in the next 2 or 3 years without it. So, Mr. McClintock and myself, we had sent a letter to you last year on the let burn policies, quote unquote, and that you promised that we were going to implement aggressive strategies to extinguish wildfires within the first 24 hours after one is detected. Is that demonstrably different than previous years in utilizing that?
So, Colonel, I know you have a lot of questions, but this takes a little bit of time to explain because I do think this is an area.
Well, I mean, we got it. They only give me 5 minutes around here. So, do you think more or less that we've seen success, measurable positive success in the stopping the let burn? Measurable.
Well, I guess where I'm going is that the interpretation of let it burn differs between what the agency is saying and how some people in the communities are viewing that.
Yeah. Do you think it's made a difference though in more aggressive early attack?
Do I think let it burn has made a difference?
No. Us asking for us to, however you want to call the let burn.
I'm not sure I understand.
Let me talk about secure rural schools real quick. Under Title II and III of secure rural schools, would you commit to returning to the original language intent of SRS Titles II and III so that they have the flexibility locally to move the money as they see fit. When they've lost that flexibility, they're kind of stuck with how they can use that money.
Yeah, I understand the need to want to do that, but I'm not sure that the administration has taken a position on that yet, Congressman.
Well, they're telling me they've lost the ability under the Title II and III part, secure rural schools, to have the flexibility and so we need to return to having those Title II and III tools.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Stauber for 5 minutes.